In this three-part lecture, we will examine essential Buddhist doctrines before exploring the themes of death and dying. We will cover key doctrines such as selflessness, dependent arising, and the Four Noble Truths, ultimately connecting them to the cycle of existence, the Wheel of Life, or Bhava Chakra, that fully explains how Buddhism sees the beginning and end of life and death. Indian-originated religions are based on the idea of rebirth, or samsara. Samsara literally means wandering, specifically, wandering the endless stream of repeated life and death in various forms in accordance with the accumulation of karma. Furthermore, a central tenet is that life is suffering. This was not an idea original to Buddhism. Rather, it was common to most Indian religions, though the methods of explaining it varied. Let's reflect on the life of the Buddha, as introduced before this lecture. When Siddhartha Gautama grew up, he went out of the four gates and witnessed four strikingly different scenes he had never encountered before. Siddhartha's existential crisis, which he realized after facing the realities of sickness, aging, and death, was based on the profound frustration that all beings, including himself, would be born again repeatedly in accordance with their accumulated karma. From this perspective, whether one is currently alive or dead, suffering is unavoidable because living itself is suffering, and death is merely a transition to more of the same. In this way, Siddhartha faced the realities of sickness, aging, and death, leading to a profound frustration with repeated rebirth. The final scene Siddhartha witnessed was the possibility of freedom from samsara, the life of the renouncer. In other Indian religions, this is called moksha, or the permanent soul's release from samsara. In Buddhism, it is called nirvana, which means the permanent extinguishment of the fire of suffering and the cessation of conditioned existence. Siddhartha eventually abandoned his unparalleled austere and extreme ascetic practices, which followed the pre-existing solutions of Brahmanism and non-Brahmanism, because they nearly took his life. His declaration of the middle way distinguishes his path from other religions and philosophies. While embracing certain shared views, he discovered a unique path. For example, Brahmanical religions asserted a permanent self, similar to the Western concept of a soul. They argued that this permanent soul, or Atman, travels through samsara and changes forms according to karma. However, Siddhartha found that their application of causality, the principle that causes and conditions engender effects, or karma, was logically inconsistent because it made Atman and Brahman the creator, exceptions to the rule. He argued that if causality applies to all phenomena, then nothing, including a creator god or a soul, can exist without being interrelated with all other existence. This idea is called dependent arising. From this viewpoint, the self is nothing but a nexus in the interwoven fabric of karma and causality. After his realization of dependent arising, Siddhartha's epithet became Buddha, or the Awakened One. The Four Noble Truths serve as the foundational summary of his realization that suffering is not natural but the outcome of causation, the specific causes of that suffering, the future state of liberation, nirvana, and the path to attain that liberation. If karma is the power that turns the wheel of life and death, samsara, one must ask, what happens if karma is exhausted? If karma is the combination of causes, conditions, and their resulting effects, what causes karma in the first place? Buddha addresses these questions in the Second and Fourth Noble Truths, which identify the cause of samsara and the method to exhaust karma. He explains that karma is transcended through two primary means: the attainment of wisdom and the rigorous practice required to apply that wisdom to reality. This practical framework is known as the Eightfold Path. The term noble or Arya carries a specific weight here. It implies that these four truths are perceived as self-evidently true only by the enlightened ones. For those still on the path, it is considered noble to trust in these truths as the foundation for practice. Dependent arising is the foundational principle that nothing exists independently. As the Majjhima Nikaya states, when this is, that is. This principle underlies selflessness, the Four Noble Truths, and the 12 links on the wheel of life's outer rim. The five aggregates, or panchaskandha, define the self as a collection of forms, feelings, perceptions, compositional factors, and consciousness. None of these aggregates alone is a permanent self. Together, they form the basis of the doctrine of selflessness. Selflessness, or Anatman, is the core doctrine. There is no permanent, independent self. What we call this self is actually a constantly changing stream of aggregates, much like a chariot exists only as a label for its interconnected parts. We can view karma as the thread binding these parts together. Grasping at a non-existent self is the root of ignorance and the first link in the wheel of life. If there is no self, rebirth is the continuation of a causal stream, not the transmigration of a soul. It's like a flame passing from one candle to another. Karma leaves imprints on consciousness. Virtuous actions lead to favorable rebirth, non-virtuous to unfavorable rebirth. Ignorance of selflessness drives the three poisons: desire, hatred, and ignorance in the hub of the wheel. The inner rim shows karma flowing without a permanent doer. The outer rim's 12 links illustrate the mechanism, beginning with ignorance of selflessness. The Four Noble Truths are truths recognized by the enlightened. They are the truth of suffering, the truth of the origin of suffering, the truth of cessation, nirvana, and the truth of the path, the Noble Eightfold Path. Dukkha, the truth of suffering, includes three types: suffering of change, and all-pervasive suffering. There are also 8 specific types, including birth, old age, sickness, death, and attachment to the 5 aggregates. The truth of the origin of suffering states that craving, or trasna, is the cause. We must distinguish craving from natural desires and emotional needs. Selfish craving and attachment create karma, leading to rebirth, the dark side of the wheel, or samsara. Nirvana, the truth of cessation, means to be blown out, representing the extinguishing of craving. It can be analytical or non-analytical. The Buddha's nirvana had 2 stages, with remainder while still in the body, and complete cessation at death, parinirvana. The truth of the path is the Noble Eightfold Path. It comprises wisdom, good conduct, and meditative concentration. Wisdom includes right view and right intention. Good conduct covers right speech, action, and livelihood. Concentration includes right effort, mindfulness, and concentration. The 3 stages of practice organize the Eightfold Path. Stage 1, foundation, involves generosity, good conduct, and meditation. Stage 2, the 3 trainings, covers disciplines, concentration, and wisdom, leading to selflessness realization. Stage 3 is the preliminary condition of nirvana. The wheel of life visually maps the second noble truth. The hub contains the 3 poisons, the inner rim shows karma and the 6 realms, and the outer rim depicts the 12 links of rebirth. Yama holds impermanence. Realizing selflessness breaks the chain of dependent arising, leading to liberation.